Hey, Shane.
Yes, Spence.
Have you seen Bullet Train?
No.
No?
No.
Well... Now you have.
Yes, I have seen Bullet Train.
You've seen Bullet Train.
Yeah.
This is important to say. We're closing out Action Month with Bullet Train.
With a kind of a weird movie to close out.
It's weird. Like I joked, I think, on one of the early episodes that we should have done a trilogy with Bullet Train, Ambulance, and Plane.
Yeah.
Which I still hold would be great. And if we ever do either of those other two movies, we may just incorporate this one for the fun of it.
Like, we kind of talked about doing it, but I think we both agreed we didn't
Like,
want to do
watch
all
movies.
three of those.
Especially because Ambulance is a Michael Bay movie, and so it's
Yeah.
long.
I feel like we're going to need to do a Michael Bay month or something.
Not a bad idea. That'd be fun.
Because I haven't seen several of his movies. I haven't seen Ambulance. I haven't seen Six Underground. I haven't seen...
Oh, the thought of watching Six Underground again just made me tired.
What's the other one? The one about the
robots?
No.
13 Hours.
13 Hours.
A strangely apolitical movie for the subject matter of the film.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Especially for him.
Whatever.
Anyway.
That movie's, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and you've told me, like, we've talked about it before.
Bullet Train is such a weird one for us to kind of close it out on.
Yeah.
But I think it was just modern, and we had kind of been talking about like the John Wick movies.
And I really wanted to watch it.
Yeah,
I really wanted to watch it.
It's definitely one that I saw in theaters. I saw with the right people in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw with my brother and I saw with one of my uncles, and we all kind of bought in and just had a great time with it, which is like the way to watch it. It
looked like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Like all the trailers made me go, man, I want to watch the hell out of that.
Yeah. And that is what it is. It's fun. Like the movie knows that. The movie knows that's all it is. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not trying to give you a deeply emotional experience.
No.
Like in a way that I would argue like John Wick kind of is. You know what I mean? Like John Wick, not like a deeply emotional experience, but you feel for it and you hook into the plot in a lot of ways. Where Bullet Train, you kind of just lean back and go, charisma.
In the first one and kind of the last one,
I would say the first and fourth one. The fourth one I buy in.
The second and third one, they're not trying to do much in terms of
No. There's less of like you feel it that there's going to be like with 2 you feel there's going to be a 3, and with 3 you feel there's going to be a 4. Which is what it is, but it's I not to knock on those movies that we all know that I love them dearly.
We literally did 4 of them in one single episode.
Well, and an interesting thing here is Bullet Train is directed by David Leitch.
Yeah.
Who co-directed the first John Wick, uncredited co-directed the first John Wick.
Right.
And he's been, I think, of the like stuntmen to turn directors, maybe the most successful.
Yeah.
Because at least monetarily, because he did Deadpool 2, he did Hobbs and Shaw, which I don't fully blame him for.
No.
I think he signed on for a movie that he knew would be...
Look, when it comes to like the filmmaking, it looks really stylish and fun and like...
He just has to deal with the stars having to take the exact same number of punches and all this stuff. But it's fun to see him kind of step out of that where this is star-studded, right? Like 63% of all of Hollywood is in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
But all of them...
62.75%, but it rounded up to 63.
Yeah, we have to, just to keep it even.
Yeah.
Did you know that 84% of all statistics are made up on the spot? Hey, that's your math teacher told you that joke once.
Hey.
Anyway, all the actors in this one, as opposed to another star-studded movie, Hobbs and Shaw, another star-studded movie. This one, all the actors buy in.
Yeah.
They're all like Brad Pitt, a controversial figure, I'll admit, but I don't know enough about that to comment on that.
He's just a piece of shit dad.
Yes. So I don't know if to comment, but he's like a movie star who could demand whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
But he just kind of gives himself to the idea of it and the character of it. And
I will second all the things we're going to say about Brad Pitt are not a tacit endorsement of anything he's done.
No.
We're just specifically talking about him in this movie.
I think neither of us feel prepared
or
knowledgeable enough on the subject.
No.
So
as far as I know, he's a piece of shit dad, and that's as far as I know.
Yes.
And a piece of shit husband.
Yes.
That is all I know. Again, not a tacit endorsement of any
Talking
of the
about him
things.
exclusively as an actor
Yeah, in this
movie,
particularly.
and then maybe we'll talk one or two others if it becomes relevant.
I appreciate that he's doing something that I like. He's not doing what he normally does, or he's not. He's not playing the same, or not even the same, because it's not like he's pretty chameleon a little bit. But like,
I mean, he's a character actor.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. As what do you normally say?
My saying is always he's the best character actor trapped in a leading man's body. Like,
I think that's very true.
I think that's accurate for him in the scope of his acting career.
That being said, I feel like for the past few years he's been playing. I he hasn't done anything all that much like fun that I can really think
other
of.
than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the other the one, and then he did in
But
terms
that
of
still feels like a very Brad Pitt performance.
and not in a starring role. He had a character in The Lost City with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah,
Where he like pops up,
right? I forgot about that.
and is in that for like 5 minutes. It's a Brad Pitt performance, but it's like satirical Brad Pitt, where he's very self-aware of who he is.
Yeah.
This does feel like he's jumping out of being the badass and is just like a badass, but he doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting.
It's a fun character.
It's an
for him to
interesting
play.
POV character, I think. Like, if you can even call him that.
Okay. This is my fundamental like question or problem or whatever with this movie is I feel like it was marketed wrong.
Yeah.
Where it like very much was marketed as like a Brad Pitt movie.
A Brad Pitt vehicle?
Yeah. But like it kind of isn't.
No.
But it like
no.
is, but it isn't.
Well, there are chunks that are.
Yeah.
They're like, there'll be like 10 minutes here where it's his movie, and then 10 minutes where it's entirely someone else's movie, and then 10 minutes where it's these two guys' movie.
Yeah.
And I think there's something interesting about, I mean, the arena film, right? Where it's like they all kind of eventually come together and become a thing, which happens in this, but calling this an arena film is weird.
Yeah. It's like kind of an ensemble, but at the same time, he is kind of the last man standing.
Yes.
So it's like, look, I kind of get it. And he is the most famous star in this cast.
Like fundamentally, I would say, I think just one of the most famous people alive.
Right.
George Clooney tells a really funny story about that. Sorry, this is a tangent, but George Clooney told a story where he was like at a event for one of the Ocean's movies, and it got really crazy. Like he felt like he was in danger. George Clooney did, and he looked over and went, "Huh," and he was like, "That moment where I thought I was going to be physically harmed didn't even crack the top 10 for Brad Pitt. He's that famous."
Yeah.
Where he's just been in so many of those situations. Fascinating.
Yeah.
But really, Brad Pitt serves as our way into the story and our way out of it. Like, that's kind of what his role is. And then he's in the plot, but he's more reactionary than anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Does the movie start with Brad Pitt?
Well, no, you're right. It doesn't
It's
even. It starts with Brad Pitt gets us onto the bullet train.
Yeah.
It starts with the setup of the mob and the family and the son. And
yeah, that's what I thought. So it's
shoot,
like,
you're right. It's like, is he even that?
it ends with him.
Yeah.
But I don't start with.
Well,
Well, that's why it's like I don't. It's not a problem with the movie at all.
Well,
it's a little bit of a problem with the marketing. If you
It's
ask
the
me.
problem with the marketing, and then also like if I'm going to be critical of this very fun dumb movie, it needed to be one storyline thinner. Like we needed to lose one through line. Like Bad Bunny is funny in this, but it's funny that he's in it more than he's funny. It's like we could have lost him, or we could have lost the poison, or we could, you know what I mean? Like we needed one less thing to track in here, one less assassin on a train. Because the promise of this movie is a bunch of assassins are on a train trying all to get the same briefcase.
Yeah.
That's amazing, but really the movie isn't that, because they'll just kind of, some of these people just pop in and out, and then there's like a core group doing a thing.
Yeah.
Is what it is, whatever.
I mean, it's like kind of like a whoddunit.
Oh, that's
You know
an
what I
interesting
mean?
way to look at it.
It's like Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Just without a detective.
but they're all the murderers.
Yeah.
But they're all murderers.
Which, have you seen Murder on the Orient Express?
No. But I've seen a whodunit before.
Can I spoil Murder on the Orient Express for you and the listener?
Listener, don't listen for the next 20 seconds. Go.
They're all the murderer on Murder on the Orient Express. That's the twist, is they all did it.
Oh, shit.
That's so funny. Okay, you can listen again.
On accident or on purpose?
No, on purpose. Like, they all group planned to kill the person on the thing. And so then that's what he discovers, is all of them had motive. which is the whodunit thing, right? And then all of them could have done it in one way or another. And so the twist is they all just did it.
Wild.
Which is like a great twist, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a movie.
That's super fun. Shout out. Who's the one who wrote that one? That's Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie.
Shout out,
and then
Agatha.
there are 2 movies. There's a Sidney Lumet version and then the
it's Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Gareth Edwards, and I was like, that is
That's
not
very not
right. I would love to see that movie.
Hey
but,
man, that would I love Rogue One is that okay? I couldn't remember because there's a couple we talked about another Gareth, the guy who directed the Raid movies. What's his name? It's Gareth. Doesn't matter. Anyways,
whatever. Back to Bullet Train. Yeah, like this movie fundamentally is not like all my Letterboxd mutuals are all like, this movie's not like good, but it's a lot of fun. And I was like, yeah, like that's fair to say. If you really like dive in, it's not good.
it's fine.
It's like that's how I would put it. I was like, this movie is fine. It's doing nothing like horrible and nothing great. It's just fine. Other than I will say the action is quite fun.
And I think it's very funny.
Yeah. Oh, it's very funny. Specifically Aaron Taylor Johnson
Yeah.
and Brian Tyree Henry.
Yes.
Those 2 I could watch 10 movies.
I want a Bolivia Job prequel very badly.
Yes. They are so, which is the main thing I want to talk about in regards to this movie and how to cast an action movie. But those 2 are like, I mean, their
chemistry is perfect.
Chemistry is pitch perfect. Even when they're apart, they fit in with everyone they interact with so well.
I think that's what this movie does like incredibly well is not necessarily like depth of character, but like distinct
characterization.
Yes. Thank you. That's
great. Yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like great characterization, very distinct from each other. Everybody, and yet they all like perfectly fit like chess pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Everyone, even the pairs of people, even those Lemon and Tangerine, even those 2 feel like they're different levels of bought into the stakes of it,
right?
In not a like actor way, in like a script way, where it's like these characters clearly would react different to. You're right about that. The characterization is all
it's
really
like when
strong.
They individually pair off, and like 2 are fighting, 2 are working together, 2 are at odds, whatever it is. Like those individual little interactions are really, really fun.
And to give it 10% credit in the like depth of character, there's never a moment where I lean back and go, I don't really feel like this person deep into the movie, right? After I've been with them for a while, it's like Brad Pitt is always making the choice that I think Brad Pitt would make.
Yeah. They're all really elevated.
Yeah,
like none of them are super grounded.
Yeah. It's just like when he chooses to like do the fake accent and flip the thing, it's like it's so comically huge, which is one of the best laughs in the movie for me. It's like when he flicks it and it just falls out and it's all this like Anyway, it feels like something that character would do. I didn't think here's a funny joke. It went, what would this guy do in this situation? And they did that.
Yeah. Characters
aren't that complex, but there is like a depth to them in that everything they're doing, all the choices they're making, and they are making choices, which is something I really like.
Yes.
They feel grounded in what that person is.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I'll give that movie credit for. Is this the first action comedy we did for Action Month? Like pure action comedy. I mean, John Wick has like humor in it, when he builds the gun and shoots one dude and then drops it.
I mean, like it has to be. I mean, like Con Air to an extent.
Con Air thinks it's Shakespeare, but
does it?
I don't know. I said that and then I was like, well,
The Rock thinks it's Shakespeare.
Yes, accurate.
Con Air, I don't think it thinks it's Shakespeare. It definitely thinks it's really cool.
Yeah. Which like there's shit in that movie that's really cool.
That's cool. There's shit that isn't.
No, but Bullet Train.
It's definitely the most comedy of.
It is the most. I would just call this an action comedy.
Oh, 100%. More than I would call. I would not call Con Air an action comedy.
No.
It's funny without trying to be a comedy.
Yeah, and this one is a
this
comedy.
Is like just trying to be a comedy, or specifically an action comedy.
Yeah, and how do you feel about how the action specifically is edited?
That's a wonderful question, and I would have to watch it again to like really feel it. I think. Why do you ask?
Well, 'cause like John Wick is known for its like we're just gonna go wide and we're just gonna watch these. This one does it, and then there's strange moments where they don't.
I did notice that the editing is a little bit more frenetic,
and that we're a little closer to our subjects. Now, obviously, I don't think all these guys are committing as hard as like a Keanu would.
Right.
But they're doing their own fights, a lot of them at least. You know what I mean? Like. They're also way more focused on the comedy of the fight, which I'll get. So it's funnier to be able to see the reaction.
There also just isn't as much action.
No, like surprisingly little amount of action for this 2-hour action romp.
It is way more about like, and when there are fights, usually they're like very small and contained.
Mm-hmm.
You know
until
what I mean?
the third act, and then it gets crazy,
and then it gets insane. But yeah, like, where it's like the two dudes, it's Brad Pitt and Lemon, and they're like fighting at the chair, at the seat, and they're trying to be
like
quiet.
One of my favorite fights in the movie. He's like, if you had a gun, you would have, and then he grabs his hand. It's like really inventive in ways that's what I think the stuntman action director does best is he's like, what's something we talk about this is add something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, what have I never seen before? And it's like panning down to see that he's just holding his hand like again, and then having him grab his hand and pull it, smash the laptop, have them have to be quiet. It's like really inventive, entertaining scene. That's why the movie was so heavily marketed on that.
Yeah. And it's great.
It's great.
The fight scene of them in the snack area, you know what I mean, where they're like literally like punching each other with
somebody comes through and interrupts them, and you're like, okay, like it's Kimiko from The Boys, which is like
wild.
I kept waiting for her to be a secret assassin, and then she just isn't.
And then she just that's just like her whole role. Yeah. And it's like, you're on The Boys. You know
know.
What I mean?
She must have like known them and been like, let me come and do this. It'll be fun, which is cool.
They're both Sony productions, so that doesn't surprise me.
Well, that, and then the big thing I want to talk about in regards to this movie, and we'll talk about other stuff, we'll talk about more of the fights, we'll talk about that, but the big thing I want to talk about that sets this movie apart from a lot of action movies for me, casting.
Yeah.
This movie is casted perfectly.
Yeah. And I think it casts people that you like haven't seen or don't normally see in some of these roles in a super fun way.
Yeah, like,
it's like, look, it's not the first time we've seen Brad Pitt in an action movie.
No.
But this is the first time we've seen Brad Pitt in this type of action movie.
Yeah, and it's this type of action movie, but then you get like Zazie Beetz showing up for this, which she's like a small role, but she has a good fight in it with an interesting conclusion. Like, it's a very fun,
Do you want water?
Can I give you a hug? Like,
do you want me to hold your hand?
It's so good.
Is there something I can get you?
But then, even characters that are like small, like what's his name? Percy Jackson.
I don't know his name.
Logan Lerman.
Nicholas Hoult 2.
Yeah. White Boy of the Week number 4. Logan Lerman. Even he's had not a resurgence recently, but he was in a pretty decently. I was in that Al Pacino Nazi hunting Amazon Prime show.
What?
Yeah, I know. No one saw it, but they went for 2 or 3 seasons. It was apparently popular enough to go for that long.
What was it called? Do you
Hunters.
know? I don't know if I've ever heard of this.
Anyway, Al Pacino's in it. Al Pacino, baby.
Is he like a lead character? Or
Yeah, he's like one of the leads.
And Logan Lerman?
Yeah.
And they fight Nazis?
Well, it's like post-war, they're hunting down all the hidden Nazis who tried to like make deals.
This sounds sick.
I know. Why haven't I watched it? Ooh.
There's nothing I love more than Nazi hunting.
I agree.
Dude, there's like a special catharsis of the Nazi hunting. Especially now, like Nazi hunting television is
I was literally going to reference this isn't Nazis, but it's Nazi equivalent. Your Django Unchained review after you rewatched it, where you talked about that. Yeah. You're like, oh, I like this movie now because it's really cathartic to watch.
Yeah. It's just really cathartic to watch.
Yeah,
it's a former slave kill a bunch of slave owners.
You know what I'm not all that excited for? Indiana Jones 5. But you know what I'm really excited to see? Bunch of Nazis get punched in the face. They're Nazis.
Yeah.
They're Nazis.
Yeah.
You talk about Hitler in the new trailer and stuff. They're Nazis. I can't wait to watch those guys get punched in the face and thrown off stuff.
I mean, like
awesome.
when I literally looked it up, it was weirdly important for me that James Mangold was Jewish.
Yeah.
Because like there's just something about like it is
in its DNA. Indiana Jones
is a like it like you know, like obviously like Temple of Doom really doesn't do much.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull doesn't really do,
but like, the best two.
But the best two are just so infamous and famous for their Nazi punching.
Yeah.
And their Nazi hatred that it's like, you know.
I agree. I think when you pointed that out to me, I was like, damn, that is awesome.
It's like it was like weirdly important to me that James Mangold
Yeah.
was also Jewish, because it's like especially if we're kind of rewinding time back to to watch Nazis get punched again. It's like you really gotta get the guy who knows why that's important.
Yeah. I mean, that's Steven Spielberg puts that in so many of his movies. You know what I mean? Like makes movies about anyway. Bullet Train.
Random thing. One more thing on Steven Spielberg and Nazis. One of my favorite things, like behind the scenes things for Last Crusade was there's the big scene, the big Nazi march in Berlin in Last Crusade. He had all the actors playing Nazis cross their fingers behind their back while they were doing the Nazi salutes and stuff. He had them cross their fingers behind their back. Is that not like the funniest, cutest, coolest shit you've ever heard?
I love him so much.
I love it.
It's just the greatest. Oh, I love that.
I mean, if you're gonna have a bunch of people get up in Nazi garb and you know, hail Hitler, it's good that they are putting
that they're being like.
Yeah.
You know, anyway.
Shout out to Nazi punching.
Shout out to Nazi punching. Shout out to Steven Spielberg. Come on the pod.
Come on the pod, Stevie.
We should have just called this Come on the Pod and then never have guests.
That's really funny. This segment's called Come on the pod, where nobody actually
no one shows
us.
up.
Yeah.
We just cut to an empty seat with a mic sitting. Anyway.
Mikey, what do you think?
Mikey, what's up? Interesting point.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, Bullet Train. But casting.
Like casting.
Michael Shannon is the weird Russian White Death. Is
wild.
He shows up and you're like, whoa.
Look, I knew it was going to be someone.
But he's not who you thought.
Not who I thought. This is the least, especially right like now, the least Michael Shannon thing I can possibly imagine.
I mean, he was in Man of Steel, but even that's different.
That was also several years ago.
But he like shows up, has this gruesome ass death, and he's even bought into the comical bigness of it all. Hey man, I'm here for the cameos are amazing, which is not something I normally like to say.
Yeah.
But when Channing Tatum puts that book down...
There's like 6 cameos, too.
I know, but like when Channing Tatum puts that fucking book down, and you're like, that's Channing Tatum!
That's Channing Tatum.
He's like, wait, is it for like a sex thing? Like, it's genuinely... Okay, look, here's my love for Channing Tatum. The dude is so much funnier than anyone gives him credit for.
I agree
and we give him a lot of credit for being funny.
Yeah.
But watch Magic Mike. I'm so serious about this. Watch that trilogy. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love him. The Ryan Reynolds one is funny because they call him a douchebag for the entire movie, and then you find out it's Ryan Reynolds.
And you're like, oh.
And he's the reason all of this happened because he killed the white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is also a very funny moment where he's like, it's all a misunderstanding why Ladybug is a part of this, because he's just like, whoa, I just filled in for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, a Bullet Train is like a fascinating thing.
Yeah. I think it's like 15% overwritten, where it's like the... Like you said, like you could take out one storyline here, and it would just streamline it a little bit more, because like it has that kind of whodunit quality. But I'm like, it's a little too complicated for like what it actually is. You know, where it's like the guys from the Bolivia job who with the person who did this with the person who did that,
and it tries to do the thing where it wraps it all up that this was all his plan, and you're like, all right.
But legitimately, I struggled to remember everything that everyone had done and the reason why everyone was there. It was just a little too complicated.
It gets a little too complicated, and I think the editing doesn't help that, and how much it like when it chooses to cut away from the Brad Pitt Bad Bunny fight, you're like, why did we? It like breaks the action. You know what I mean? Where it's like he stabs him and then it cuts away. Not to backstory. It's like to something completely different.
Yeah, it does that a couple of times where it's like, this feels like a weird time to cut to some other place.
I agree. How do you feel about how this movie looks, though?
I think it looks really good.
I think some of the CGI is a little dodgy.
Oh, well.
I
feel like that's just a boilerplate. everything looks kind of dodgy except for the three things that don't. You know what I mean? If there's CGI in the movie, just assume it's not going to look great unless it's Avatar or Dune
or the Batman or Nope.
Or Nope. Okay, we found them all, ladies.
We found them all. That's literally the only ones.
I mean, almost.
Not entirely wrong. Yeah, I again, it has that stuntman quality where like they're talking and it's just a conversation, and then the sun rises and Brad Pitt's like glowing, and you're like, all right, I'll give it this. It's high effort.
Oh yeah,
it's not lazy. There's the part of me that wanted this to be a different movie than it was, where the end of the movie is the train coming to a stop and everyone who's alive just walks off and goes their separate ways, instead of the whole big train crash.
Yeah, I could have lived with that.
I didn't need the train crash. I didn't need the door popping open and them hanging on the outside of a train going 200 miles. And it's like I didn't need this.
There were a few of those moments where it was like they would have stopped the train.
Mm-hmm.
If this happened, they would have stopped.
Which, like, we're in fairy tale land, and the movie's very clear on that. But you're right; it's like
literally the minute that door opens,
the train would have come.
They would have stopped, at least slowed it down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they would have stopped the train.
Yeah.
Like again, you're exactly right. Where it's like we're in La La Land. This is not real.
Mm-hmm. But, well, and here, so I think the ultimate question with it. Would you watch a sequel to this where Brad Pitt is just on a different vehicle of some kind? Like if he ends up on another bullet train and
questions of whether or not they would recast Brad Pitt.
Oh, okay. Would you watch Ladybug on another adventure like this?
Like, yes. Like I don't dislike the world that they've created. I don't dislike, how they directed it or the writing for the most part. So it's like, yes, like what I would really want legitimately, like, and I mentioned it earlier, it's like, I just want more of Aaron Taylor Johnson and Tyree
the prequel to this. Yeah.
I would really want more of those two specifically.
Yeah.
Because their chemistry is so good and Aaron Taylor Johnson is so fucking hot.
Yeah.
Specifically in this movie. Is this the hottest Aaron Taylor Johnson has ever been in a movie?
By far.
Like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
right.
And I don't know if you know this. This isn't a spoiler. He's in Tenet.
Yeah. Is he?
And that's his most grungy looking. He's got like this big beard and like this really short haircut where you kind of are like, oh, it's Aaron Taylor Johnson. This is by far the hottest. When
he's just, the suit.
No,
those
shots when he's like walking, you're like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Too good. It's too good.
Also, Brian Tyree Henry can also fucking get it.
He can also Oscar nominee, dude.
Yeah, fucking Oscar nominated Brian Tyree Henry.
I love that guy.
Fucking get it.
Come on the pod. Yeah, man. Like,
I think if I were to remove a character, if there's a character I did not give a flying shit about, it would be Joey Fisher. What's her name?
The princess,
the daughter,
or prince, the kid.
Yeah, Joey's son. I can't remember what her last name is.
Yeah, like she's doing a good job, but
she's fine. Like performance wise, she's fine. But she's like, for the longest time, you kind of don't know who she is, and then when it's revealed, you kind of don't care.
Yeah, it's like he could have. Yeah, and she's like the hiccup in his plan where like she jumped in and tried to do. It's like,
but it's just like that interaction between the two of them goes nowhere.
Yes,
means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like she's just there. She's like there as a tag at the very end of the movie
to get run over.
Yeah.
By a character who was absent for the most of that last conflict. Like
I feel she almost felt like somebody there who was there to like solve problems that they were having with the script.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do with these two people? Well, let's bring somebody in.
All right. Well, like, what's the son doing here? Who brought him? It's that kind of stuff. I agree with that. I would remove her.
Of all of the like characters on the train, she was the one I was like least interested in.
Yeah. Like Zazie Beetz kind of just shows up in this, right? Like,
yeah.
Like you could remove her. Although I do like the whole bit where they're like going for the poison. As soon as she goes,
yeah.
He's like, you didn't have an extra like that. It's worth it. It's
you gotta
worth
come prepared.
You gotta
like that one. I don't mind that one because that one feels like a cameo. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that's the thing is like if it were Keanu Reeves, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like then you'd be like, oh, that was a fucking great cameo. But since it's Zazie Beetz, where she's not like an A-lister yet, you're like.
Like she felt like she was in it because Deadpool 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Again,
she rules.
But from that perspective, like as a cameo, I thought it worked and I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because like, look, she's not supposed to be this fully drawn out character. She's supposed to be the assassin who's been causing all these little issues throughout the night, and then we kick her ass and she then she fucking dies. That being said, like if she had a part in the whole story of, if she was one of the people who was supposed to die on the train, then
it's a bit like, meh.
Then maybe we could have used more for sure.
Like the gag of the water bottle at the end, I don't really need either. Where
That
they like
made no
follow
sense to
they
me.
follow the water and then it comes and you're like, I didn't.
That made no like why.
It was just funny because they had done it a couple times in the movie and they're like, what if we did it with a water bottle? And it's like, that's a funny idea for like a sketch.
Oh,
like,
do you want to know my review for the movie?
I do.
Let me find my review. Did you actually see it?
I did. I read it. It's funny.
My review is as follows. I'm sorry. This is taking me a minute.
Damn.
My review for this movie is brought to you by Sony Xperia, brought to you by Corona, brought to you by Asus ROG, brought to you by Fiji Water, brought to you by Audi. I have never seen a movie with so many
Like blatant
product placements. Yeah, exactly.
that like are integral to the plot in some ways.
The Fiji Water specifically.
Yeah.
Like, but everything else was
They're
like,
we want him
man.
to be a character.
Yeah, like literally. Where it's just like, he pulls out his laptop and has a big stupid ROG logo on the side.
All the phones. Like,
Okay, look, it's a Sony movie. They're going to have a Sony Xperia phone. That is literally like in the contract.
Yeah.
If you watch a Spider-Man movie, he's got a Sony phone.
Yeah.
So it's like that doesn't super surprise. It is specifically for the phone, but it's just like where they're like, it is seriously a close-up shot of a Corona beer, and it's like, man, y'all aren't even like trying to hide it. Literally, just looks like a beer commercial. Like the Audi shot, she whips up in the Audi at the very end, and it's clearly CGI'd in there because it doesn't look like a real car at all. And it's like perfect and beautiful and gorgeous, and it's just like. They don't even try to hide that this is product placement in the wildest way.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it because it was funny and it made me laugh every time.
Yeah.
I'll be like, brought to you by Corona.
Yeah. I like Bullet Train.
Look, they had to fund it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they had to be able to afford all of these actors somehow.
Yeah.
And fucking Bad Bunny. Like,
yeah. And Bad Bunny, yeah.
What did you think of Bad Bunny? I thought he was fun.
Oh, I thought he's fun.
I would
You know
like
what I
to
mean?
see him say words.
I definitely like how he dies, which is the knife bouncing back into him is the whole gag of Brad Pitt being unlucky, and you're like, I actually think he is. I think we keep dodging that, but I think he is.
Yeah.
Like, is a funny gag that works in the movie, and then I do think Bad Bunny's quite fun in this.
Yeah.
He says like you're right, like 4 words in it.
I would enjoy to see him do a little bit more. That being said, he was clearly bought in.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like he is giving 110%.
Yeah.
So that was super. Dude, Bullet Train's fun.
Bullet Train's fun.
It's good. Look, it's not great, but it's like a good fun. It's like in the same way that like, not to the same degree, because I actually think that, Dungeons and Dragons is better.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's fun in the same way where it's just like,
It's like big and world buildy and
big and like like a great cast and like everybody's having fun and like that it was just like a good time.
yeah.
Like and it's just a good time watching it. It feels similar in that way. Where Dungeons and Dragons has a little bit more on top of that, but
Yeah.
freaking this movie's fun.
This movie's fun.
Shout out.
Shout out movie. No, and again, it's like every time I see a David Leitch movie, even Hobbs and Shaw, I'm like, I want to see you make another movie.
All of my issues with Hobbs and Shaw had less to do with him and his direction more than it had to do with exactly what you talked
the
about.
situation he was put in.
The contracts and the writing and the this, that, and it's like all of the things that made the whole Fast saga an issue at this point made that movie an issue as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the look and the feel and all that kind of stuff. Those were all the things I actually quite liked about that movie.
Yeah,
It's like it's a sexy looking movie.
Yeah.
And
so is this one.
so is this one, and so is Deadpool 2. It's like
I think Deadpool 2 legitimately looks good.
I think Deadpool 2 looks great.
Yeah, like that was I like the first Deadpool more.
Yeah.
as a movie, as a story, but I think the action and the cinematography in the second one are like legitimately awesome.
Head and shoulders over the first one. It's like where I agree. It's like I think the story is better in the first one, but like again, like the action and the just the visuals are just like head and shoulders better than the first.
Yeah.
That being said, the first one's, I think the action's quite fun in the first one too.
Oh, the action is not really what I'm gonna like dog on the first one. It just looks like the amount of money they had. You know what I mean? Which is, I can't fault them for that.
No,
I think they do a lot of interesting camera work within that. But,
right.
Anyway,
I would be fascinated because, like, look, I mean, like, I'd be fascinated to know how much more money the second one cost than the first one, because it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't that much more.
I don't think it is, because I think the first one's like 50 million and the second one's like 75.
Okay, see, and I think I think the look makes it look so much more expensive.
It really does. Again, it's that stuntman mentality of just like fucking send
every
it.
shot is fully sent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that Michael Bay, like that Bayham, where it's like every shot is like stupid.
Yeah.
How well
Deadpool 2 also Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
For 1 second.
For 1 second.
For like literally 4
I forgot
frames.
about that.
Yeah.
That's a funny.
And then he's
man,
gone.
it's funny how much all of these people like are connected from Deadpool 2 or from The Lost City.
I'll also say that I don't know if David Leitch has any like stuff going on. I don't know, controversy stuff. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything.
I don't
but like people keep working with him.
Yeah.
Even these like cameos that pop up here, they're like, I want to work with you again. Let's do this. It's so that I think that's pretty telling
there's
too.
Seriously like there's so many freaking cameos from other people in his other movies, which is super fun.
I love that.
I love that.
It's the Wes Anderson, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes somebody's just fun to work with.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That thought about Wes Anderson where it's like, I don't think they make that much. No single actor has ever been nominated for any of his movies. Nor have the movies been nominated for much. And like I seriously think they just do it because A, they want to be in a Wes Anderson movie, and B, they just like Wes Anderson, which is like super
he's
fun.
one of those actors that, I mean, look at his new movie, Asteroid City. So many people are in it, but he just has he has a revolving door of people coming back to work with him more and more.
And more people keep getting added.
Yeah.
Like more and more and more and more every single time.
Because every director has that, but there are certain directors that have a scale of that where you're like, whoa.
I don't know a single director who has the same consistency and the same like level.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's like all absolute fucking A-listers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has it like Wes Anderson has.
It's wild, man.
It's absolutely wild. Any lessons from
Bullet
Train?
I want to do this. We'll do this here. Lessons on Bullet Train. And this is the last movie of Action Month.
Yeah.
So lessons on like action movies and things. If we've watched a pretty good like diversified number of them. Anything jump to mind for you? I mean,
I think first like trusting the people who know how to do the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like trusting the stunt coordinators to coordinate the stunts. You know what I mean? Your stunt choreographers to choreograph. You know what I mean? It's like so many of the movies we watch, specifically like The Raid and John Wick, are just so... The choreography is at the center of what makes these movies as cool as they are. So it's like just like putting that power in those people's hands and just say, go, you know? Like, just do what you want to do and we'll make it work. And then, like, putting the camera exactly where it needs to be to make it as cool as possible. I think that was, like, my biggest thing, specifically for those, like, 2 episodes, was just, like, let the people who know what they're doing do their fucking job.
Yeah.
And get the people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know? Because, like, and then, like, on the next layer is, like, casting people who will commit and sell it as hard as possible.
Yeah.
You know, you have your Keanu Reeves, but even you have people like in this movie, it's like everybody knew what movie they were making and were 100% on board.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't think you have to have the same level of commitment as Keanu Reeves does for John Wick, but you could at least have the same level of commitment to the dials of comedy versus action versus like exactly how like fists, you know, handheld and all that kind of stuff. How those dynamics of that action plays into it. I think, just like making sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody is doing the job, like letting the people who are doing their job do their freaking job, you know?
Yeah.
And just don't get in the way of it with crummy editing or, you know, like bad cinematography or like bad camera work. Just like show it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to edit it to hell and back to sell a punch. Like these professionals are professionals for a reason.
Yeah.
They can sell a punch.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest thing. What about you?
I think it's a great lesson. I definitely piggyback on that. But like for me, I talk about this all the time. I talk about this RRR. I talk about this with the Batman. I talk about this with the good superhero movies. And then,
which one are the bad ones? Let's do a list.
I don't
Listicle top 10 bad superhero movies.
I don't want to do that.
Number 1, The Batman. No, I'm kidding.
I will murder you. No.
Number 1, The Dark Knight.
The internet will murder you. I don't even. No one listens to this podcast, but you just awoke hell for yourself. Anyway, the good action movies are not all that different from the good, unlike dramas, where it's storytelling first.
Yeah,
that is what makes or breaks your movie. And so many people like to like. I hear this a lot with the superhero genre, where it's like it's a great movie other than the superhero stuff. Where it's like I get you can't get past the costumes and the capes and the Batman specifically is one that I'll use as an example. It's like that's just a great movie. Yeah. The story works. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. The performances are amazing. Everything is firing on all cylinders for the Batman. But there are people who can't get over the fact that he's dressed like a bat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, to me that informs it. That sells so much of what it's about. So you just look at action movies, you look at John Wick, where it's like the fundamentals of storytelling, of structure, and of sound and performance, and of cinematography, and dialogue even, are there. You know what I mean? That's my lesson. Having watched so many of these, all the great ones that we watched are great because they're great movies. They're fundamentally good, and they fundamentally work on a storytelling level. You know what I mean? RRR is the perfect example of that. RRR goes harder than any movie of all time, than any movie ever. But I care about the story and the people and what's happening and what's going on just as much as I care about the tiger fights and the one guy stacked on another guy boxing matches.
Right.
It's like action is just a medium in which to tell your story. In the same way that animation is just a medium in which to tell a story. It is cinema. It's all cinema.
Yeah.
We need to change how we look at action in that way, where it's like so many people will be like, well, it's an action movie. It's like, no, like Avatar 2 is so awesome. Yeah, the story's really simple, but I care because I care about the performances and I care about those things that draw me into these characters, even if they're thin. Bullet Train is that same way where it's like, I still care in one way or another. You know, it's just not that deep. It's more like, oh, I want to know what's going on. Like, I want to see what happens with Tangerine and Lemon because I like these guys, you know?
I mean, it's like the same. I would argue that the Raid has those exact, like, specifically the first one, where it's like it is a simple story, but that doesn't mean you're not bought the fuck in. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes,
it's like it is a simple story,
but I'm 100% bought in.
Yeah,
like it's fundamentally story is story, and action is just a version of that.
Yeah,
and I wish people would give it more credit because it's also one of the hardest things to do right. Because the craft of these movies is nuts. The Raid, Mad Max Fury Road, John Wick specifically. Yeah. The craft of those movies is like top tier of anything that's being done today.
100%.
And I Mad Max Fury Road is the one that was able to bridge that gap and have everyone look at it and go, this is a piece of cinema nominated for a ton of Oscars.
Yeah.
But John Wick is just as craft based. Like it really is. It's just different. It's not as flashy in its craft, which it is, but it's a different craft.
I legitimately don't understand. I will never understand why Hollywood for Mad Max Fury Road. What about that movie they were like you know what I mean?
What made them?
It's phenomenal. It's one of the best movies ever. But like they're such a snob about so much other.
And then that one was able to break through.
Why that one was the one that broke through? It's just wild.
Well, when you watch it, you're like, the story and the craft and the way they frame things and how they execute these. It's all of that stuff, man. That's just my lesson is to, when writing an action movie, don't just write what's the cool thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Write the character.
Yeah.
Write the dialogue, write the whatever, right? You know, the situation, whatever it is that makes a story great will also make an action movie great. And then you bring in all these people, like you said, who know what they're doing. Yeah. You trust them to do it.
Yeah.
And you build something great. It's such a collaborative way to do things, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my lesson. That's Action Month has been very fun.
Action month, good month.
Action Month, good month.
Action month, good month.
Anyway.
Segment.
So before we talk about the thing we talked about, I want to ask you, just because you and I haven't actually talked about this other than just the CGI, but the new Fast X trailer came out. Thoughts? Very briefly, obviously there's not that much to talk about. It's a trailer.
After the first trailer, I watched it and I was like hesitant and like scared, honestly, because the CGI was bad.
Yeah.
And I was like meh about what I saw. And then I saw it in the theater, the first trailer. I saw it in the theater and I was like, okay, I'm way more bought in.
Yeah.
I like this way more. The CGI still looked very bad, very bad. But I was way more bought in. And then the new trailer came out and the CGI is infinitely better. Not perfect, but so much better it makes me want to cry. But god damn it, I'm excited.
Yeah.
It looks
I'm excited, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no two ways about it. Resident Fast and Furious, I have the Lego Dom Charger right above my head. But
and the Pop Dom
and the Pop Dom right next to that. I'm a Fast and Furious fan. What can I say? I went and saw a movie.
Did you know this?
Yeah.
Guys, did you know?
Wild, right?
Spencer likes Fast and Furious.
But I went and saw...
Those were literally the first 3 episodes of the podcast.
I went and saw a movie last night and they played the trailer and everyone in the theater was like making fun of it. And they're like, when is it going to... Like literally I could hear people like, when is it going to end? And I was like, fuck all of you. This rules. Let it be good. I love
the first trailer or the second one?
It was the first trailer. Now, the reason I bring up the second one is you texted me about that.
Yeah.
So I watched it. And the funny thing is I didn't even notice the CGI because I was like, wow, Jason Momoa seems different in this trailer. Where they show way more of his like fun, crazy side. It's just interesting. That's why I bring it up. Whereas I was like, in the first trailer, he seems like this like imposing physical threat. And this one, he's like making jokes and shit. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm in. I can't wait for it. We need to get our tickets for that.
Is it our tickets?
I think they're on sale.
Oh, shit.
They will be soon. I'll check.
Oh, okay.
We'll get our tickets.
We will for sure have a Fast 10 episode.
That will be
for sure.
100%.
We got it.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Okay, now the real thing we talked about for the segment.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z, the most famous action movie of all time.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about because we didn't talk about any animated action stuff, which is like there's a lot, not necessarily in America as much in traditional action senses, but like you go over to Japan, there's a ton of like action movies that are just animated. Anime. And so you and I have been watching Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Yeah.
Now here's the story of this. I have been trying to get you to watch like Naruto.
He's been trying to turn me into a weeb.
I have
for a very long
bit.
time.
I'm a very casual weeb, but still a weeb.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been trying to get him to watch Naruto for like years at this point. And
would you say that you've been trying to get me to watch Naruto?
I'll drop hints. No. Well, yes.
You haven't been trying hard.
Not that hard because there's part of me that doesn't want you to watch it because I don't think you'll like it and it will hurt my feelings.
Look, of all the anime I've watched in my life, which isn't all that much. I watched it when I was a kid with my brother and my sister, and I watched it more because they were watching it. I watched probably the most was Rurouni Kenshin. That was probably the most one that I watched the most. My sister watched a lot of the Pokemon anime, and then probably third most was Naruto. So it's like I've seen a good bit.
Yeah.
So it's I because of that, I feel like I will have a connection to it.
Okay,
that will make me like it more.
Look,
than I think.
I hope that's true. But I have been talking about my love for Naruto. Let me phrase it that way. I've been talking about my love for Naruto to you for years.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue one day, we're talking on the phone playing Call of Duty or something, and you go, "I've really been wanting to watch Dragon Ball Z," and I was like, "Fuck you! You've been wanting to watch Dragon Ball Z." Got into this whole thing where I was like, I've been telling you about Naruto for so long. You want to watch Dragon Ball Z? I think you had been watching some video and they were talking about it, whatever. So then I made fun of you every time you brought it up since then. And then one day you go, this guy won't let me watch Dragon Ball Z. And I took that personally. So I bought almost all of Dragon Ball Z Kai on Blu-ray.
Hell yeah.
And was like, no more excuses, motherfucker. And so we've been making our way through it.
Yeah.
We're on, I believe, like 4 Kai, season 2 of Kai.
Yeah.
Which we're in the middle of the Frieza battle, which has been 100,000 episodes long, I believe is the count.
Yeah, at what point will Goku get out of the stupid water thing?
So that's where we're like, we just, I think, got to the end of the like Piccolo bout.
Yeah.
I think is where we're at.
Yeah.
And like Vegeta just got healed.
Yeah. Frieza just turned into his final form.
Yes, and so the Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin are trying to fight him, and then Vegeta got blasted and healed, so he comes back stronger because he's a Saiyan, and Goku's been in a vat of goo for 7 days.
Yeah, for the entirety of this entire fight.
Yeah, just listen. I joked to you. You're like, he's getting the summary version. I was like, no, he's getting the cliff notes of the summary, which is like what he is experiencing.
Yeah.
He's like, who just showed up? Is that Piccolo? It can't be. He's so strong.
That's not even that bad of an impression.
Yeah. What are you thinking of Dragon Ball Z, though?
I'm super into it. It's a fucking bucket of fun.
It's like McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is very much McDonald's. That is a wonderful expression. That is a wonderful way of putting it.
It's kind of junk food, but in a way that is so like. Look, the thing I will say is not junk food is like the character designs. Like, not saying all the animation is great, but the character designs in this show rule.
100%.
It's so
agree.
creative in that respect. Of like, sometimes the animation is old. I mean, it's an old show, but like.
You know, the funny thing is, I think the new animation where they have to splice in some new stuff looks way worse than.
Oh, interesting.
Do you agree or disagree?
I notice it, but I wouldn't say worse. I mean, Dragon Ball Z has some controversy. Like, where like the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie has some of the fastest animation I've ever seen, to the point that the 2 Blu-ray players I've tried to watch it on won't even read it accurately. It's both of them glitched in the same way, so I need to try a different disc, or on my PlayStation that has a nicer, newer thing. Weird. It was like both in like it would just kind of like glitch in a weird way when it got a certain point. So maybe my disc is messed up, but also it's in those like in the fight fucking moments where it's like a million things are happening. I was like, I can imagine this disc was not made well.
Interesting.
But that movie rules. It's super cool and fun. I watched it again the other night, or I guess like a month ago. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball Z rules, right?
Dragon Ball Z rules. Yeah, I've been very resistant to my weebification. Just because I was afraid that like once I started, I wouldn't be able to stop, and then I would just be super weeb. And I wanted to start, and I also, if I was going to do it, I wanted to start with something that I was like interested in. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to just like start with, and then like roll off.
You didn't want to just like turn on Bleach because it was famous,
right? I wanted to like start the right way and start with something that I like was genuinely interested in. And like since I was a kid, I wanted to watch Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z is also like baby's first anime. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. I would say Dragon Ball Z is people's like gateway into anime more than any other show.
It's America's first anime.
You know what legitimately, I mean?
Like it's like the first
back
thing
when they called it Japanimation.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like it used to be called Japanimation, and then they changed it to anime because it made more sense. Anyway, in terms of like an action thing, it's very fun, but a lot of it is just as they're like punching and you just see blurs. Like that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But it also rules at the same you like watching it with you has been super fun because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Yeah. Like elementary school kid, middle school kid. So watching it again with you where you're like getting into it, and like it's been a blast.
There's
from that
no way
perspective.
not to hoot and holler and yell at the screen while watching Dragon Ball. If you're not hooting and hollering, you're
not enjoying it in the correct way.
Right. It's we're sitting there, we got a bag of candy in our hand, and we're just going like, oh shit!
We're like lights and shapes and colors, the likes of which I've never seen. It's so good, and then it's just also it's camp to like.
It is.
They're like maybe he's the Super Saiyan. Like they're all talking about it for 100 episodes.
Yeah, I have heard the word Super Saiyan 50,000 times without seeing one fleck of gold hair yet. I am waiting,
and yet Vegeta keeps going. I've become the Super Saiyan. You're like, no,
honey, you haven't.
Baby, no.
But you're not Dragon Ball.
Yeah, you're.
You're not Dragon Ball.
Oh, it's
we have to wait for Mr. Dragon Ball Man. Yeah. That's Goku. Yeah. Goku's Mr. Dragon Ball.
Goku's the biggest idiot in anime.
He's the biggest fucking idiot himbo, and I love him more
His
than
training
anything.
is blasting an energy beam around a bunch until it hits him, and then he falls over. Like,
it's fucking amazing.
It's awesome. Training in 100 times gravity.
Also, Gregory is my favorite character of all time. I want him tattooed on my ass. I love him.
We're not even going to bring up who Gregory is or explain it. You should just know.
If you don't fucking know who Gregory is, get out of the comments. I don't want you here. You're not allowed. You have been excommunicado.
Effective immediately. Gregory will be flying with his little mallet to hit you.
He will beat the shit out of you.
Yep.
Gregory's the shit.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball Z is a bucket of fun. It's been a huge nostalgia trip for me. Like, I grew up on it, and then when Kai was coming out, I watched a bunch of Kai and then stopped, and that was like middle school, like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then I had this big thing where I was like, it's not as cool. And then in high school, I got back into Naruto.
Yeah.
Because I watched Naruto as a kid also.
Yeah.
And then my senior year of high school, Shippuden was ending.
Yeah.
And so everyone was talking about it, and I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, that show I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
So I started it thinking, oh, memory lane. I'll watch a couple episodes. It'll be fun. And now Naruto is one of my favorite things ever.
Also, part of the reason I've been afraid to start certain ones is just like the fucking length.
No, Naruto, and you're not as much of a binger.
No.
Naruto is a gauntlet. I
right.
Like, I've told Ethan that. Like, I've been like, hey, Ethan, friend of the pod, Ethan, we love Ethan.
Yeah.
I've told him, I'm like, look, it's one of my favorite things ever. But it's a beast. Like, it's not the same as like a comic book that, because he's reading Berserk right now, which is like a famously long. It's been going since the 80s, one story, and it's not over. So he's been reading that, and he's like, well, I got into that. It's like, it's different though.
Yeah.
Because it's TV. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get to it. Like, you can get to a stopping point, but you still have the whole. You know what I mean? Like, in a way with a book where it's like, I'll get to the end of like an arc and be like, okay, I can walk away from this in a different way than I can with TV.
Yeah.
Naruto's a like multi-year long commitment if you can keep with it and keep watching it.
Right. And I don't know if I'm capable of that.
I don't know if you're. Now, I think with you, what I would recommend for you is to watch it in arcs.
Yeah.
So you watch like you watch the beginning through the bridge arc. You would just watch that. You take a break, watch another show, watch a couple movies, come back and watch the tuning exam arc.
Yeah.
Get through that, be done with that, come back.
That was where I was.
The tuning exam. Tuning exam is the first one where you're like, this is long.
I think that's where what I saw, I think, was that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the tuning exam rules, but there's like one chunk of that specifically where you're like, let's move on.
Yeah. Because I remembered we watched the intros.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the one I remember.
Did I show you the Rock Lee fight too?
I don't think so.
Oh, there's this fight that's, maybe I'll show you that.
Okay.
Anyway, Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z
is also long, but there is Kai, so we can watch the much more abridged. That's literally the reason
why I wanted to start with Dragon Ball 2 is because it is like the most famous probably in America.
Yes.
Depending on if it had.
I mean, I would argue Goku may be the most famous anime character, period.
Yeah. Are we counting Pikachu?
Oh. You know what? You got me there. Pikachu and then Goku.
Yeah, it's like, are we counting Pokemon? Because I would argue that show is probably more popular, but that's just because Pokemon is the most popular media product of all time. So so not counting Pokemon, obviously I would say that like Goku and Dragon Ball, and so it's like knowing that made me want to watch it, and then also and just like the shirts, everybody's got like a fucking Dragon Ball shirt, and it's just so a part of pop culture at this point.
Yeah.
And then also I knew Kai existed, so I knew there was kind of like an edited like streamlined, which if this is the edited streamlined version, my God, I can't imagine watching the actual show.
A lot of Bulma looking for Dragon Balls, I'll tell you that.
I would fucking pull my goddamn hair out.
Yeah.
We love Bulma, but fuck off Bulma.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, I just want to talk about that like briefly, just because it's something we talked about doing a whole episode on it, but we kind of trailed off watching. We need to get back on it.
I think once we fully finish
the Frieza,
if not maybe
the Cell
saga, then I think that
because that's what I have through. Because then it got canceled and then it came back, but it wasn't as good. It's in the wrong aspect ratio and stuff like that. And that back half is not nearly as famous anyway, so stuff like that. But I have the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga, the Android saga, and the Cell saga. And the Android and Cell kind of play into one another.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we're gonna do an episode on it, I think maybe once I get all the way through the Cell saga, that might be a good point to.
But anyway,
it's going to be a very long time.
It's going to be a long time. You're gonna see a lot of Kamehameha beams in between now and then. Anyway, I just wanted to briefly talk about that because I am having a blast watching it with you. Yeah, it's been so much fun. We need to get back on it.
We do. We need to get back on it.
Anyway,
Action
Month has been a blast. That's wrapping up, so we'll kind of go back to regular varied episodes and
regularly scheduled or somewhat regularly scheduled programming.
So that's going to be exciting. We'll have to look at our schedule, but I think you're up next for recommendations.
Oh, I'll have to pen something in because I don't actually know.
We'll confirm that. It might be me, or there may be something.
I mean,
like,
depending on would you say Bullet Train was your recommendation?
I would think so.
Then I think you recommended more things in Action Month than I have.
Yeah. Which was part of the idea of doing it because I'm like an action and a horror junkie.
Yeah.
So those are my things.
I'm just a crack junkie.
He is. It's actually bad. Please send help.
If you know anybody who needs and has crack,
who needs and has.
Shush. Hey man, I'm a crack addict. Yeah. What do you expect?
What do you know? Anyway,
recommendations.
Crack.
Crack is a hell of a drug.
Okay. My recommendation. I went to the Alamo Secret Screening number 98. So Alamo Drafthouse does secret screenings once a month.
Yep.
No idea what it is. Somebody comes out, talks a bunch about it, announces it, you watch it, and they come back out and talk about it a little more. Uh-huh. Super fun. You could tell it's like a community of people who go to these as often as they can. It was rad. I'm going to really, really try to go to number 100 in 2 months. But you have no idea what the movie's going to be. Yeah. And it's always something really schlocky, I think, is the idea. Mm-hmm. Boy, did I not know what I was in for. Evil Dead Rise has come out, and so that's why they picked this. The title of the movie is Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. Now, it is an hour-long movie, and he literally went, or better known as Japanese Evil Dead, because that's what it is. You should look up the story of this movie. Like, the guy took like 15 years to make it. He shot it on 8mm film, reshot stuff. He's the main star, the effects artist, the director, the editor. Like a ton of is a crew of like 7 people. There's like 4 actors in it total, and it is just Japanese Evil Dead, where you change the chainsaw for some dumbbells, and it is as glorious and stupid as you would think it would be.
Love it.
Like legitimately, it was so weird, but seeing it with a crowd of people who just went bonkers for it, was awesome. If you want to watch just a really weird experience, this is a great one where it's so low budget and so lo-fi and so Evil Dead and so earnest in the way that those first Evil Dead movies are. This is a great one to watch. So just so I get the title right, because it's insane, Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell is my recommendation. Literally 4.7 thousand people have seen it on Letterboxd. He started making it in 1995 and it came out last year.
What? Oh, wow.
Well, it's because it came out years ago, but just like a DVD release. And then those DVDs were passed around so much. It got a wide release in Japan and then the UK. And then in 2022, it finally got like a bigger release. So with Evil Dead coming out, the guy who programs the monthly secret screenings at Alamo, at least here, decided to do this. And I was like, that fucking rules. And it was wild and it was a great experience. And do those Alamo secret screenings. They're really cool.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, that's my recommendation.
I'm going to recommend Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Hell yeah.
It's Action Month, and I love those movies. If you haven't seen Kill Bill 1 and 2, also known as Kill Bill,
The Whole Bloody Affair.
Well, is the Whole Bloody Affair?
The Whole Bloody Affair is a different thing, and if anyone has it logged on Letterboxd, they're probably lying.
They are fucking
because
lying.
I've looked for a long time for a copy of it, and I can't find it because it's not released. It was shown like twice.
Yeah.
Fuck all of you.
Yeah. So yeah, my recommendation is Kill Bill. Those movies are action icons.
1 or 2. Do you prefer more? I get they're the same movie, but like if you had to watch like. Because my opinion has changed over the years.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of turning into fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
I love it. Come on the
pod. Sorry. Hey, man. Sorry. Macho Man deserves better.
Not bad, guys.
Do I have a preference between 1 or 2? I don't know. They're very different in a weird way.
In a cool way.
They're very different. They feel very distinct. I think it would just depend on my mood.
Yeah.
I think like the first one is a little bit more like wild and fun, where the second one's a little bit more like, you know, kind of a little bit more dramatic and a little bit more like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes is my answer. Kill Bill 1 and 2. Those movies fucking rule.
They do.
Go watch Kill Bill 1 and
action
2.
films,
like,
I think.
yeah. I think Kill Bill 1 and 2 are maybe Quentin Tarantino's most underrated movies.
They're my favorite.
The Kill Bill 1 and 2 are your favorite Tarantino movies?
Yeah. They're the ones I do not allow myself to watch that often because I love them so much.
Whoa! I love that.
I don't know if they're his best movies, but I definitely agree they're his most underrated, but they're my favorite ones. Every time I watch them, I'm like, I re-fall in love with them.
I might just fucking agree with you, my dude. I might just fucking agree with you. For the longest time, my favorite was Pulp Fiction. And then it wasn't. Just out of kind of nowhere. It just kind of wasn't anymore.
Sometimes you change. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, right. No, I would say that like Pulp Fiction was the movie that like turned me into like a movie person, where it's like, this is what movies can be. You know, I think it is kind of like baby's first like cinema. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's phenomenal and it deserves all the praise that it gets, but at the same time, it's like at a certain point it becomes like it's almost cliche.
Yeah.
I think Kill Bill is just like that. Those were the ones that I like absolutely like fell head over heels for in a way that I absolutely adore those movies. Like I agree. I think he has better, but man, the only one that like I haven't seen it more than like once or twice, but Once Upon a Time I also fucking adore. And might take that place maybe depending.
The one I watched the most is Django.
It's funny
because it's the longest, but I've shown it to multiple people, and it's the one where I'm just like, I need a long movie. I just need to chill out for a while.
I've had an interesting journey with Django.
You have.
For the longest time, I did not care for that movie, and then I watched it again recently, and I liked it more. It's still not. I still have issues with it,
Of course,
but I like it more.
Yeah, I think his masterpiece, and I think he knows this, is Inglourious.
Yeah. You think you would say his masterpiece is Inglourious over like Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
I would argue that like
but I think Tarantino ends that movie in the cheekiest way because he fucking knows.
Fair,
you know what I mean? He's just like
Inglourious Basterds is definitely the most Tarantini of the Tarantinos.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
Anyways, Kill Bill 1 and 2. Go watch those fucking movies. If you haven't seen them in a while, or if you've never seen them, go fix your shit. Those movies rule.
They rule.
Have I ever recommended Kill Bill 1 and 2 before?
Maybe.
Because I watched them not too long ago, and I think I may have recommended.
You borrowed my copies of them.
Yes, I did.
I have very cool copies of Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Steelbooks.
Steelbooks.
He's cooler than me.
I am. Anyway, so you have peak action cinema and schlock action cinema.
What were all the movies we watched? We did John Wick 1, 2, 3, Parabellum, 4,
Raid 1, Raid 2.
Raid 2.
The Rock, Con
Air, Mad Max Fury Road, and now finally Bullet Train.
Like 10 fucking movies.
That's a lot of fucking movies.
Yeah. I loved it. I love Action Month.
We almost didn't do Raid 2, and I'm glad we fucking
did.
I
am
I'm
too.
so glad we
Rewatching it really helped me with it. Like the first time I watched it, I was just like a little absent, had stuff going on, and whatever.
You're always a little absent.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just a little guy, just a small little fella. Anyway, you've got some great action cinema. You got some schlock action cinema. So you should, I don't know, just go watch that, or don't. I don't know. Live your life.